Nanette is a show we've talked about for years and years and years, and there's always been a sort of low-level argument about whether to do the 1925 version or the 1971 version, and was sitting in a meeting with Rob Fisher and Walter Bobby earlier this year, and they said, the 71 version is just so great, and the orchestrations are so great, and the band sounds so fabulous, and it's got these twin pianos. Let's just do it and do that one, and we'll all be happy. And since the main song in the show is called I Want to Be Happy, it sounded like a good idea, so we said, okay, we'll do that.
Talk about the remarkable cast. You always cast very well here, but these are really great dancer stars you've hired for this show.
Well, there's every different kind of star in this show, beginning with Rosie O'Donnell and carrying through really to the people in the chorus who are some of the best tap dancers in the business. I think it's a function of Randy Skinner, who's the choreographer, and Walter Bobby and Rob Fisher having the greatest address books in the world. They call up their friends and they say, do you want to do this show? And this is the kind of show where people go, yeah, we do. And so they did.
What's the greatest thrill for you? I watch you do your curtain speech on the Wednesdays, which I absolutely adore. It's one of my favorite parts of what you do here at Encores. What's the greatest thrill that you get out of Encores personally?
Personally, there have been so many, I would be hard-pressed to know which one. But I must say I had a great time last season doing Follies, which is a show that I saw trying out in Boston when I was a college student. We had a great time doing Stairway to Paradise, which I sort of conceived and worked on with Jerry Zaks and Warren Carlyle and Rob Berman. But there is no one greatest thrill, because there are great thrills that come with doing the better-known shows and seeing how great they are, and there are great thrills that come with doing the obscure ones and making discoveries that no one knows about, often including me, until they're up on their feet.
The 71 won out partly because Bert Shevlov had done such a good job of compressing it the way we do it Encore. So half of that was done, and the orchestrations are so much better. They were really perfunctory in the 25. It was my dream, if I could have my dream come true, would be like do one act with the 25 orchestrations and the other two acts, just so people could hear how different. But it's a different instrumentation and everything. And this is Ralph Burns at his very best, Luther Henderson at his very best. I said to the cast on the first day, we read through the orchestrations a couple of weeks ago, and they're the best orchestrations I've heard at one of these readings. I mean, these are unbelievable. The colors, the excitement that they get out of this music that seems simple but is so perfect. It is such sophisticated writing.
Well, it's a really dance-heavy show, which is fun for me. It makes it a little hard with 10 days of rehearsal, but we're really doing it major dance. I mean, Sandy is doing two major numbers. Sandy Duncan's playing the Ruby Keeler part, and her Act 3 number, which was never a number that's centered around Ruby, I have chosen to do that for Sandy, and it's wonderful to see her. She gets to do a great tap number in Act 1, and then this wonderful period Charleston in Act 3. So I think audiences are going to love seeing Miss Duncan back on stage dancing as if the clock has not stopped. And we're not doing the beach balls. That's also kind of an iconic moment. And number one, I learned how to walk on the balls back in the 70s. I actually did it. But it's a little risky to do something like that in a 10-day rehearsal period when you don't have understudies, you don't have swings. That's one of those special tricks. So we're doing a different kind of fun take on the Peach number, Peach on the Beach. But I think audiences are going to really see a real dance show. And of course, the other real iconic moment is the number that Bobby Van and Helen Gallagher did, You Can Dance with Any Girl. And Michael Berresse and Beth Leavel are doing a wonderful job. And we're doing the entire number. And we are, when I talked to Beth before she took the role, I said, that's one of the most famous moments in Nanette, and we're going to really dance. I'm going to give you a number that's hopefully going to just make an audience go crazy. And that's not easy in 10 days.
I am playing Lucille Early, who Helen Gallagher originated this role in the revival, and it's such a fantastic part, and she's such a leading lady, and I get to look beautiful and sing these three fantastic songs, and I get to dance a lot, which has been really a challenge and exciting and terrifying and terrific. It's like an 8-page dance number Meemaw does. It's fantastic. With Michael Berresse, hello, one of the greatest dancers on Broadway. So
let's talk about that number, because that's in the second act. Yes. Outside Chickadee Cottage. You can dance. I told you, I know this. So, there's so few rehearsals here anyway.
Yes.
When have you been learning the number?
Well, I actually got back from San Diego. What time is it? Okay, right. Hang on. I got back Monday, and I started rehearsal for this Tuesday morning, and Michael and I came in and started to learn You Can Dance With Any Girl at All, this huge, amazing dance number that Randy has choreographed. So we've been working a lot, trying to do it every day, trying to embrace my inner dancer again. Because, in Drowsy Chaperone, there wasn't a whole lot of dancing. I just drank and had a really good time. So it's been I haven't danced really since, Showboat or Crazy for You. So it's really thrilling, and the dance I'm just trying to get my lungs and feet back in shape, and I love that you know this show so well. It's like that. It's one of these shows that you just love. You love it. It's so exciting. It's so quintessential musical. So
one of the best cast albums ever, this show.
It's fantastic. It is, and look at the songs. Yeah, no, it's great. It's a real privilege to come and sing it and dance it.
Well, I call her Boo. I adore her. Beth and I have never gotten to work together. We've always been fans of each other, and this is a really, really good partnership. I just, like the first day, we clicked, and I feel really strongly that this is not the last time we're going to work together. And hopefully, Encores, you get 5 performances or 6 performances. I'm hoping we get a few more after that. But I'm really excited. We have a great deal of material, which is fantastic, but it's also a little crazy at Encores because you don't get a lot of time to prepare. And we're really dancing. I mean, scripts are down, and we go for it.
So, you only have 10 days of rehearsal for Encores, but like I said, this is a huge dancing show. So what point during the rehearsal process are you learning the numbers?
Well, they actually brought us in a few days early, several of us, because we had so much material to do physically in the show. And I started learning Call of the Sea, and Beth and I are learning our duet, You Can Dance With Any Girl, first, last week. And then this week we're going to concentrate on Telephone Girlie and all the staging. I mean, it's a pretty big book, too, although David Ives has done a terrific job of editing it down for Encores. It's very, very specific. It's very, very clear. But because it's a farce, and we have a limited set, we don't have a lot of doors. We just sort of pretend we have doors. And that's kind of the way that it should be at this stage, I think. But it's still it's a lot of material. So I was very grateful that they gave us an extra week. Typically, Encores only has sort of 10... I guess it is a full 10 days, but we actually had a couple of extra days last week.
This is your first Encores ever.
It is, and hopefully not my last, because it's so thrilling. It's like going to camp. You've got 10 days to put on a show, and the panic when you do the first read-through, and then you're like, what do you mean I have one weekend to rehearse and then I'm on? Pretty much. So it's so fun, and I've seen so many of them, and I'm just thrilled that they asked me.
This is one of my favorite shows. I spent 1971, 72, and 73 at the 46th Street Theater. I got to know Bobby Van. I told Michael, this is like a childhood dream of mine.
Did you know Patsy Kelly? You did?
Yeah, I knew her through that, and Irene.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
I want to do the story of her life, because I've been researching about her life when I got this part, and what an amazing woman she was, an out lesbian in the 50s when nobody could be that, and, her whole career and who she was, and I think there's a resemblance, like the Irish kind of, Brooklyn tough girl. I don't know. I thought it was wonderful to discover her through because I never saw No Nanette. I saw the film, and then I went and watched it at Lincoln Center, but I never saw it live, so I would love to do that. But this is a thrilling show, and to get to watch the dancing in this. I have this tiny little dance number at the curtain call, 90 seconds. I've been working since January. Okay, it's May. But I watched today what, Michael and, Beth are doing, and I was stunned. It's stunning to watch how good they are.
See, this is unlike any other encores because the cast in this is absolutely amazing. And this is a huge dancing show for principals.
Yes.
But they've always been full of choruses that have danced, but I mean, everybody dances in this show.
Yeah, and they dance really, really well. It's not like, getting through the dance number. I mean, they were smart in that I don't have a song and I don't have really a dance number, but at the very end, I come out and do a little thing that as a surprise. And when they told me, would you learn that? I thought, God, I'd love to learn that. And the woman who teaches at my school, the Rosie's Broadway Kids, Tony Noble, I said to her, would you meet with the choreographer and get me up to speed? And so we've been doing it like 3 or 4 times a week since January, and I'm so proud I can do 90 seconds,
Talk about the role. This is such a great role, Pauline. Talk about it.
Yeah, Pauline is everybody's favorite funny maid in every wonderful musical you've ever seen or great old movie, and, I'm sort of channeling Eve Arden or Kay Ballard or, Mae West, all rolled into one. And she's got great one-liners, and it's just a wonderful part. And when Walter called me, he's like, we're doing No, No, Nanette. You want to do it? I'm like, yes. He's like, you don't want to read the script? I'm like, no. I'm in even if it sucks. I don't care, And when I read it, I even loved it even more. I love the concept of doing an encores piece with Walter Bobby. That was thrilling to begin with. And then I read the piece and went, wow, this is sort of right for me,
I tell you, it's more specifically going back to my roots, because when I moved here, I was 19, and my first 4 shows were at New York City Center. My first 4 jobs. So it's kind of like I learned Louise for Carousel from Agnes DeMille in this room. So it's like woo!
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's sort of a full circle kind of thing.
Well, let's talk about this role. This is an iconic role you're playing. Talk about Sue.
I had a little trouble with Sue because Sue is not dumb, and yet because it's a 1920s style musical, there are a lot of things that are just sort of out of nowhere in terms of tracking what she knows and what she doesn't know. So we're trying to figure that out in a way that it doesn't do any tongue-in-cheek and doesn't dumb it down, and yet stays pure to the style that was, accepted then, without, as Walter Bobby calls it, let's really look for the underbelly of No, No, Nanette. It's just froth and fun, and you have to sort of suspend logic as character that we know in contemporary theater.
It's got to be weird because they played it real in 1971, but it was frothy. I think Bert Chevlot said in the book, keep it frothy, keep it frothy, keep it in the air, keep it in the air, keep it light, is what he kept repeating during that.
Walter says the same to us. He calls it, and I think it's a very apt description, a souffle. And it's a matter of just keeping it bubbling along, and it's a farce, is the truth of it. So you have to suspend, you have to suspend reality. I mean, out of nowhere, people come out and do musical numbers, and that's just the nature of this. And at this particular moment in American history and the economics and so forth, I think a feel-good kind of musical would be good for everybody.
I think a feel-good musical is for any time, but for everything we're going through now, it really is. I'm so glad that Encore has decided to do this. Talk about the I Want to Be Happy number. When did you start learning it? I know it's like the second day of rehearsal, right?
Yes, it is. And you do these things in 8 days, and a lot of the numbers have not even been set yet. Well, you hear in the background, people are trying to learn frantically. And I'm not a tap dancer. I didn't really study tap from age 7 on, so I've had to be taught these steps by rote. Luckily, I'm a dancer, so I'm told that I'm making it look like I've tapped my whole life. Well, we'll see, won't we?
Talk about working with Randy Skinner. I think he's one of the finest choreographers there is. Did you know him before? Did you work with him before?
I have never worked with Randy. We've wanted to, and there have been opportunities in the past that didn't pan out. So it's been delightful working with him, and he has a security and a knowledge of that period and that kind of dancing that's unparalleled by anyone today.